The government has committed an extra £100 million in efforts to smash people smuggling gangs.
Well, the additional funding will go towards the one-in, one-out return scheme with France, and it'll pay for 300 more National Crime Agency officers, alongside new technology to improve intelligence gathering.
Well, the changes come as figures reveal over 25,000 small boat migrants have entered the UK this year alone.
The Home Secretary claims Labour have set the foundations for a new and much stronger law enforcement approach. Joining me now to laugh at all this, to discuss all this, the former Conservative advisor, Oscar Redrop. What a lot of bunk. Why are we wasting 100 million on this?
I thought you were going to say...
Yeah, I thought you were going to say.
Me and Eddie kind of went... But no, it's really, really difficult with things like this because, and obviously I was part of a Conservative government and I was at number 10 during the Rwanda scheme, which wasn't hugely successful, it's safe to say. So I don't like going
Well, we don't know if the scheme wasn't successful.
Well, true. Yeah. Very true. Very true. It was never actually... We never properly got it on its feet. I think a deterrent, when you look at where we're at now, actually would be a good thing. Nevertheless, so I sometimes get almost nervous about going two studs up on this stuff because people could turn around and go, well, you Tories, didn't do particularly well at all. But honestly... I mean, it's the fastest time in the year that we've hit that 25,000 people crossing the channel. Things have got worse, and this is a joke. It's a joke, and actually, it's a really bizarre joke because politically, whichever party, and obviously Labour have an advantage here of being the ones in the hot seat, they can actually implement and do things and achieve things. Whichever party solves this issue, I think pretty much wins the next general election. And Labour have the stirrups. They can do this.
Well, this is the number one issue for voters.
This is the number one issue for voters. Here we go, Labour Party. If you solve this mission, if you solve this, you could win the next election. And it feels like just over a year into this government's story, they've given up. This announcement today on a quiet August Monday morning, politically,
I think it's worse.
It's giving up. It's giving up.
Well. What if they actually don't know they've given up? What if they actually don't know there's no incentive in France for all of this, That would annoy me more, that would worry me more, that they actually haven't got the wit to realise this has no chance of working.
No chance of working. It is a relatively small amount of money, unfortunately. And the real thing here is they're pushing this 100 million quid into something that is clearly not working. Yeah. So they're actually, this is counterproductive. They're wasting money. These organised, these are brutal crime organisations that profiteer off these channel crossings. They won't see this announcement. That's a joke. But they would be, if they did see this announcement, they would be laughing at it, laughing at it.
And the sad reality is another 100 million. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money, but it's not going to move the needle at all.
It's not
on this issue.
It's not going to move the needle at all. And honestly, and you showed it quite effectively there. The amount of government ministers we see come on TV shows and they go, "Smash the gangs, smash the gangs. We're going to smash the gangs. We're going to smash the gangs." It is nothing but a hollow soundbite. And announcements like this actually even just highlight that more. In many ways. And I mean purely politically, because yes, okay, we push some more money in, we show proactivity, maybe we can detect the gangs a little bit quicker upstream. But in many ways, politically, they'd be better off not announcing this because it looks like an afterthought. It looks like, oh, that's just, I don't know, panic stations. We can't solve this. Let's chuck a few million quid at this black hole that isn't working in terms of this crime agency. It's clearly not working. We need a deterrent. And then, again, what we'll, and we'll see, maybe we'll see the Reform Party, we'll see the Conservatives come out. They're talking about stuff like deportation. They're talking about, real-world deterrence, reducing that pull factor. And I just don't understand it politically. I don't get it.
But do you get, Oscar, from your time as a Conservative advisor, we just ran a whole sequence of various ministers, from the Home Secretary, the Prime Minister, whatever, the Foreign Secretary, all saying the phrase, "smash the gangs." And therefore, they believe, this is what gets me about politicians, that I laugh out loud. They think we're all stupid enough that we will follow this and think, oh, yes, that's a magic phrase to use. That's wonderful. Saying so makes it so, but it doesn't, does it?
It doesn't. And if they think that, in like pubs and, up and down the country and in offices, around breakfast tables, they've got people receiving those messages and turning to, oh, well, I do. You know what? This Labour, they really are smashing the gangs, aren't they? If they think that somehow entered into the public discussion, they are so wrong. If anything, it's being hit over.
And it adds to the public anger, doesn't it? And I mean, we've seen upset in Epping, haven't we? And we've seen upset elsewhere in the country now. And we had Nigel Farage talking yesterday, saying that this is a national security crisis. The only people who don't seem to understand that are the political class in Westminster.
Yeah.
What do you make of his comments?
Yeah. These are really, really serious times. Things are kind of feel slightly on a precipice in terms of trust, that kind of social fabric, that the pillars that we hold very dear as a nation. This issue kind of cuts to the heart of that. And watching, admittedly, it is governments of different makeups and different parties failing on it, is really pushing a lot of the British people to like a real acute pressure point. And to be fair, I'm going to really try here. To be fair to someone like Yvette Cooper, who is a very experienced in politics, who does is working very hard behind the scenes on this. She will know that an announcement like today should have been given her piece of paper to go out to media. She would have seen the policy and she would have groaned. She would have said, I know this isn't going to cut the mustard. It's probably why they're doing it in August. If I'm honest, they're just like, let's just chuck that out there and hope no one really notices. And that is a pathetic way to run government.
People do notice, Oscar. We see the protests in London and around the country, in Manchester yesterday, about these hotels which have been commandeered, and it just goes on and on and on. And if a political party doesn't get hold of this and doesn't solve this, they do not win the next election. It is as simple as that. And at this moment in time, I would confidently state that the Labour Party under Keir Starmer and their handling of this issue have lost the next election.
Yeah, as we sit here now, he is the wrong messenger. He has the wrong message for the wrong time, unfortunately. And it's interesting when you talk about the protests. We've seen how they've kind of moved the protests. The vibe of the protests has changed a year on. If you look at Epping, for example, as we sit here now, and these things can bubble over, as we know, so I'm not, being complacent. As we sit here now, the vast majority of people they're just regular mums and dads.
Yeah.
And so that far-right stuff that we heard this time last year in terms of those from Keir Starmer, that just shows, once again, just how out of step he kind of is with how things have moved to now. These are regular families, just mums and dads who are worried.
And we can see that, can't we, on the streets in Epping now? We're looking at the pictures on the screen. I mean, it's mums holding up placards saying, I'm not right-wing, I just care about my children, I'm worried about my children.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact they're having to justify their presence with placards like that, I mean, that's the situation that we were in after the rhetoric from Keir Starmer last summer.
Yeah, and how many resets can you have? How many times can you restart the engine of government without kind of, looking at each other at number 10 and going, I think the engine's done for her. I think the engine's broke. And it does feel a little bit like that. The polling pressure from Reform is so absolutely incessant, that pressure.
Well, let's crank up the pressure a bit on this Monday morning. We start this day and a new week with saying, come on, seriously, government, is this the best you've got to offer? Is this going to solve the migrant crisis? And, here we are in the summer. The good weather means that people use the boats and it's easier to come here to Britain, except we've got Storm Flores.
We do.
Which may affect it a bit this week.
May not be many crossings today.